Welcome to the Dashboard System at the University of Kansas. Here, we try to connect effective writing strategies with technology solutions to improve the efficiency and effectiveness of writing for all learners, especially those with disabilities. In this video, we will show how to analyze student writing from a qualitative perspective when viewing progress monitoring reports. The progress monitoring report gives teachers quantitative data to consider, including number of words written, number of words spelled correctly, and number of correct writing sequences. But there is more to these numbers. Qualitative analysis goes beyond writing conventions. It supports a deeper look at what students are writing, the vocabulary they are using, and the way they are constructing sentences.
I think when we first began, we really focused on that correct word sequence, because that was the main number data piece we used for our graph. So we talked about that, and the goal, especially with my kids, being we want English. We want them to get those English skills and words and improve on that piece. And it's really good data for me to see how they're improving and the use of that. So if students are flatlining or they're not increasing, I can really be more impactful with what I'm teaching them or what I'm expecting of them. But with the writers that are improving, sometimes they fluctuate. Sometimes we talk about the prompt and vocabulary with that. Sometimes I talk about not getting fixated on one word or idea. Sometimes they'll want that one word and they'll spend the whole time thinking of that. So we really get a chance to process it. As far as qualitative, I noticed my strong writers too will start to do more dialogue. I had one that put a simile in it the other week. Today they were doing vocabulary that was beyond what they typically do. So again, I want to praise them for that and not make it think it's just a data. I don't want them to lose their quality of writing because they're so focused on the number. I want them to have that whole writing piece. And so we talk about that too.
Qualitative considerations support student-teacher conferences, helping design appropriate writing goals and instructional interventions. Qualitative measures can be appropriately shared with both students who struggle and those scoring in the 90th percentile. For students in the lower quartile, qualitative analysis can give them an attainable goal before quantitative scores have a chance to build up over time. Higher achievers see qualitative goals such as vocabulary and sentence structure as ways to excel beyond word counts, pushing them further as they grow as skilled writers.
I think one of the things that would be helpful, because I'll look at the short writes and I think the information is good. It tells you about grammatically correct and things like that with their writing. It doesn't, and when I first looked at it, I'm like, it doesn't tell them the content. And I think people need to understand it's more about how they write rather than what they're writing, if they're using punctuation correctly and that type of thing.
When viewing the short timed progress writing samples of your students' work, it is important to consider this student product as a draft. It is not a polished piece. The trick is to simplify what you are looking for.
The data is good. I find the data works well with students on their if they're using their COPs as we use it, their punctuation, capitalization, organization, and spelling. And I think that's very good for students to see that.
There are basically 3 quality measures to consider and make note of when teachers analyze student progress monitoring writing on a data walk: content, vocabulary, and sentences.
I had a student who scored 100 and something sequence on his thing, and I'm like, how did he do that? So we had to have that discussion that it was more about him, the words. I mean, he just repeated words over and over, and so we had to talk to him and say, think about what you're writing. So that's one thing that I think would be helpful. It's not the quality of writing, but that's something that you share with them when you have the conferences and make sure that they focus on the subject and using larger words and expanding their thought process and the creativity.
For content, read and consider the story starter and if the writer stays on topic. Is the writer clear with order of events and words that relate to the topic, or does the response seem random with no direction? Consider if the response shows purpose of writing with an appropriate text structure such as cause and effect, comparison, sequence, problem solution, and so on. The content should stay true to the intent of persuasive, narrative, or expository text. For vocabulary, the unique versus redundant, ordinary words can be quite obvious to spot. For example, she eventually went to sleep, rather than she went to sleep. Or everyone evacuated the building, rather than everyone left the building. For sentences or syntax, look beyond the punctuation of a well-written sentence and search for varied, simple, compound, and complex sentence types with embedded clauses. Ask the question, did the student write using transitional words and phrases? Here we can see the content stays true to the topic, Details build in a sequence and are related to the main topic. The vocabulary word humongous is notable. Sentence types attempted are varied and include compound sentence, such as, "It is just a dolphin, but the humongous shark comes up and eats it," and complex, "It is a reef, so they get on top of a rock." In this video, suggestions were made for qualitative measures that can be highlighted in progress monitoring. These include content, vocabulary, and sentences. Remember, the text is a short, first draft writing sample and should be used for short and to-the-point observations for quality. A student-teacher conference supports going beyond the quantitative measures that the progress monitoring reports include. Students will appreciate hearing feedback for content, vocabulary, and sentences in order to set attainable writing goals. Learn more about these tools as well as many others on the Teacher Dashboard System from the University of Kansas.